The rain-slicked streets of Manhattan gleamed under the sodium lamps like veins of molten silver, and I stood there, drenched and trembling, as the CO's voice cracked through the phone. "Evan, if you walk away now, everything we've built crumbles. Everything." My heart hammered against my ribs, not from the cold seeping into my bones, but from the realization that the man I'd idolized for 4 years, the one who'd pulled me from obscurity into his orbit, was begging me to stay, not for love, but for the empire he'd forged on my unspoken sacrifices. In that instant, as thunder rolled over the skyline like a judgment from the gods of Wall Street, I knew. The dreams I'd chased weren't mine at all. They were his cage, and I'd been the fool holding the key. It started innocently enough, back when I was just a wide-eyed undergrad at NYU, buried under a mountain of textbooks and ramen noodles in a shoebox dorm off Washington Square. I was 20, fresh off a Greyhound from the Rust Belt suburbs of Pittsburgh, where dreams went to die under the weight of factory smoke and unfulfilled promises. New York was supposed to be my reinvention, a place where a kid like me with a sharp mind and sharper insecurities could claw his way up. But reinvention requires opportunity, and mine came knocking in the form of a campus job fair poster. Student assistant needed, executive mentorship program. Apply if you dare to dream big. I applied on a whim, my resume a pathetic one-pager of high school debate club and a summer gig slinging coffee. Imagine my shock when I got the callback from Harlan Voss himself, the Harlan Voss, CEO of Voss Dynamics, the tech firm that was revolutionizing sustainable energy grids across the Midwest. At 38, he was already a legend, Harvard MBA, TED Talk darling, the kind of man who made Forbes covers look like love letters. Gay, unapologetically out since his 20s. He was a beacon for kids like me navigating the closet's shadows. His email was curt but intriguing. "Evan, your essay on ethical innovation caught my eye. Coffee, Thursday, 8 a.m. Don't be late." That coffee shop in Midtown became sacred ground. Harlan arrived in a navy wool coat that smelled faintly of sandalwood and success. His salt and pepper hair tousled just enough to suggest he wrestled with the world before breakfast. He scanned me over the rim of his espresso cup, those piercing blue eyes dissecting my nerves like a surgeon. "Tell me, Evan," he said, voice smooth as aged bourbon, "why should I waste my time on another starry-eyed intern when I could hire a drone to fetch my dry cleaning?" I swallowed hard, my palms slick against the Formica table. "Because I'm not here for the coffee runs, Mr. Voss. I'm here because I believe in what you're building, energy that's clean, accessible, a future where no town like mine gets left in the dark. And because..." I hesitated, the words tumbling out before I could cage them. "Because I've spent my life watching men like you chase dreams from afar. I want to be in the room where it happens." He leaned back, a slow smile cracking his stoic facade. "Bold. I like bold. You're hired. Part-time, 20 hours a week. Start Monday. And call me Harlan." Just like that, I was in. The gig was a whirlwind. Mornings transcribing board meeting notes. Afternoons researching policy loopholes for green energy subsidies. Evenings drafting speeches that made Harlan sound like the messiah of modernity. His corner office on the 47th floor of 1 Penn 1 overlooked the pulsing heart of the city, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Empire State like a jealous lover. I'd arrive with my backpack slung over one shoulder, laptop humming with half-baked ideas, and he'd greet me with that trademark nod, part mentor, part enigma. First, it was all business. Harlan was a machine. Up at dawn for runs along the West Side Highway, fueled by black coffee and an unyielding drive to scale Voss Dynamics into a billion-dollar behemoth. He'd pace the office like a caged panther, dictating visions of solar farms blanketing the Great Plains, wind turbines whispering off the California coast. "Evan," he'd say, jabbing a finger at a projected map, "this isn't just power, it's redemption. For every coal town shuttered, every family fractured. We're rewriting the American story." I'd nod, scribbling furiously, my admiration blooming into something deeper, unspoken. He noticed my hunger, the way my eyes lit up at his rants about corporate greed, the late nights I'd pull to polish his proposals until they gleamed. "You're a natural," he'd murmur, clapping a hand on my shoulder, the warmth of his touch lingering like a promise. It was innocent, those early months. Shared laughs over bad takeout Thai. Debates on everything from Obama's legacy to the best dive bars in the village. He knew I was gay. Hell, he'd clocked it the first day from my rainbow pin on my backpack, and he made space for it without fanfare, slipping me invites to Pride mixers or recommending podcasts on queer history and tech. But cracks formed subtly, like fault lines under Manhattan's grid. Harlan's ex, a sculptor named Theo who decamped to Berlin 2 years prior, haunted our conversations. He called last night. Harlan would confess over whiskey in his office after hours, the city lights casting shadows across his face. Says he misses the chaos, as if he didn't bolt when it got real. I'd listen, pouring refills, my heart twisting at the vulnerability in his voice. The man who commanded boardrooms reduced to a boy nursing old wounds. One autumn evening, as leaves swirled like confetti outside the windows, he handed me a worn journal. Read this. It's my original business plan, scribbled in a Harvard dorm. Fuel for the fire, kid. Inside were sketches of prototypes, margins crammed with doubts. What if this fails? What if I'm just another suit chasing ghosts? I devoured it, seeing the raw Harlan beneath the polish, the dreamer who'd bootstrapped Voss from a garage startup amid the 2008 crash, all while coming out to a family that still sent fruitcakes at Christmas but no birthday cards. That journal became my talisman. I started mirroring him, trading my hoodies for slim-fit chinos, practicing my pitch in dorm mirrors. Friends ribbed me. Evan's playing house with Daddy Warbucks. But I waved it off. This was my shot, my way into the machine. Harlan saw it too. By spring of my junior year, he upped my hours, threw me into client calls where I'd charm Midwestern mayors with stats on ROI for retrofits. You're my secret weapon, he joked. But his eyes held something warmer, a flicker that made my pulse stutter. Summer hit like a heat wave, and with it, our first real rift. I'd proposed a pivot. Instead of chasing federal grants, why not partner with indigenous communities in the Dakotas for microgrids? It's ethical, I argued, maps spread across his desk. Empowers the forgotten, not just the Fortune 500. Harlan's jaw tightened, the room thick with unspoken tension. Evan, ideals are luxury items. We need scale, investors, not activists. This is America. Dreams pay in dollars. I pushed back, voice rising. Then what's the point, if we're just another cog in the greed machine? He stood, towering over me, but instead of firing me, he sighed, rubbing his temples. You're right, more than you know. But compromise is the tax on ambition. That night, he took me to his favorite speakeasy in the Bowery. A dimly lit den of velvet booths and jazz standards. Over Manhattan's, he opened up. His father's steel mill bankruptcy. The queer kid who'd hidden crushes behind straight AS. I built this for us, for kids like you, Evan. To prove we belong at the table. As the sax wailed low and sultry, our knees brushed under the table. Neither pulled away. It was electric, that unspoken current, the first thread of something beyond mentorship. When he dropped me at my dorm, his hand lingered on my arm. Don't let me dull your fire, kid. Promise me. I nodded, throat tight, the city humming around us like it held its breath. Little did I know, that promise would bind me tighter than any contract. By fall, I was indispensable. Senior year blurred into a haze of all-nighters and adrenaline highs. Harlan's expansion plans ballooned. Acquisitions in Silicon Valley, a splashy IPO on the horizon. I was his shadow, vetting hires, ghostwriting op-eds for the Times, even flying to D.C. to lobby senators. The perks piled up. A company Amex for essentials. A sleek apartment sublet in Chelsea when my dorm lease ended. Can't have my star crashing on a futon, he quipped. But the gesture felt like more, a quiet claim. Our bond deepened in stolen moments. Late flights from conferences, we debrief over in-flight wines, his head dipping close as he whispered strategies. Pride that June, he marched with me down Fifth Avenue, arms slung casual over my shoulders for the cameras. Voss Dynamics allyship on full display. Your family now, he said later, fireworks bursting over the river, his breath warm against my ear. I believed him, let the word settle like roots. But ambition has teeth. Harlan's board pushed for a merger with Apex Renewables, a cutthroat rival with deep pockets but shady ethics. Offshore drilling ties masked as diversification. I caught wind from a leaked memo, confronted him in his office as rain lashed the glass. This is betrayal, Harlan. Everything you stand for. Gone for a quick buck. He paced, tie loosened, looking every bit the cornered executive. It's survival, Evan. Apex brings the capital to go global. Without it, we're dinosaurs. I slammed the memo down. Or heroes. Choose. For the first time, he yelled, voice echoing off the steel beams. You think this is a fairy tale? I clawed my way here so you wouldn't have to. We didn't speak for days. I buried myself in classes, the journal mocking me from my nightstand. Then, a olive branch, tickets to a gala at the Met, black tie fundraiser for queer youth orgs. Truce? His text read. I went heart a war drum. He looked devastating in tuxedo silk, greeting donors with that megawatt smile. Midway through, he pulled me aside to a balcony overlooking Central Park, the city a carpet of lights. I'm sorry, he murmured, cupping my face. You're the conscience I lost somewhere between Harvard and here. Stay with me through the storm. Our lips met then, soft, tentative, tasting of champagne and regret. It was a kiss that rewrote gravity, pulling me into his world fully. No rush, no heat, just a quiet affirmation under the stars. I will, I whispered, and I did. The merger announcement hit like a freight train 6 months later, splashed across the Post's front page. Voss Dynamics goes green, or greener. $2 billion Apex tie-up sparks ethics firestorm. Protests erupted outside our HQ. Activists chaining themselves to the revolving doors, chanting blood on the blades. For Apex's fossil fuel skeletons. Harlan's face was everywhere. The golden boy turned pariah, his TED aura dimmed by pundit takedowns. I was thrust into damage control, scripting apologies that tasted like ash. Harlan, this line. I started in a war room huddle, markers squeaking on white boards. He cut me off, eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights. Just make it sing, Evan. Make them believe. I did, weaving narratives of phased divestment and sustainable synergies. But each word chipped at my soul. Late nights blurred into dawn, takeout containers piling like accusations. He'd crash on my couch after, Ty Askew, murmuring thanks into my hair as I stroked his back. Our kisses grew frequent, stolen in elevators, lingering over breakfasts, but always restrained, a dam against the flood. The betrayal came piecemeal, whispers I dismissed as paranoia. First, the consultant, Lila Chin, a sharp-elbowed PR shark from Apex, installed as my co-assistant. She was all angles and ambition, 32 with a Wharton pedigree and a laugh like shattered glass. Harlan's vision needs polish, she'd say, commandeering my desk, her heels clicking territorial claims. I bristled but played nice. After all, she was the bridge to the deal. Then the dinners. Harlan started vanishing for strategy sessions, at Per Se or Le Bernardin, returning with lipstick smudges on collars I never saw before. Client schmoozing. He'd wave off, but his phone buzzed incessantly, silenced with guilty swipes. I buried doubts in work, drafting the IPO prospectus that would mint him a billionaire. This is it, Evan, he said one crisp November morning, clinking mugs in my kitchen. Post-IPO, we pivot hard, clean tech only. You and me, changing the world. I wanted to believe him, clung to visions of us. A quiet life upstate, maybe with a dog and a porch swing, his hand in mine as we watched sunsets over the Catskills. But reality intruded like a bad sequel. Christmas loomed, and Harlan's invite arrived terse. Family dinner at his Upper East Side brownstone. Bring your A game, it read. I showed up with a bottle of Napa Cab and nerves jangling like keys. His parents were relics. Father a retired banker with a walrus mustache. Mother a socialite clutching pearls like lifelines. They eyed me over the roast beef. Harlan's protégé. Mrs. Voss ventured, the word dripping condescension. Harlan deflected with charm, but tension simmered. After dessert, as snow dusted the stoop, he pulled me into the study. They're dinosaurs, Evan. Ignore them. His kiss was fierce, desperate, hands framing my face. You're my future. But futures fracture. New Year's Eve. The merger closed amid champagne toasts and backroom handshakes. I watched from the fringes of the gala at the plaza, Harlan center stage, Lila at his elbow like a shadow. She leaned in, whispering something that made him laugh. A real one, not the polished bark he gave me. My stomach nodded. Later, as confetti rained, he found me by the balcony. To us, he toasted, but his eyes darted to his watch. The new year dawned with Apex's fingerprints everywhere. Layoffs in our ethics division, synergy cuts that axed the indigenous pilot I championed. Protests swelled. A brick through our lobby glass bore the scrawl, "Voss sells out." Harlan retreated into bunker mode, barking orders from a warren of conference calls. I became his buffer, fielding media grenades, but isolation crept in. Friends drifted. "Dude, you're Harlan's stepford now." And my thesis advisor emailed a gentle nudge. "Evan, graduation's in May. What's your plan post-Voss?" Plan? The word mocked me. I deferred dreams for him. The environmental law fellowship at Yale, the startup idea for community solar co-ops, all sidelined for his ascent. One February night, snow blanketing the city in hush, I confronted the journal. Its pages, once inspirational, now read like a suicide note for ideals. I texted Harlan, "Coffee? Need to talk." His reply swamped. "Tomorrow." Tomorrow became next week, then a vague soon. Lila filled the void, her assistance morphing into Harlan's right hand. I caught them in the copy room, her hand on his arm, a conspiratorial huddle. "Evan," she chirped, all innocence. "Joining the late-night club?" Harlan looked guilty, extricating with a mumble about deadlines. Doubt festered into dread. I hacked his calendar, unethical, yes, but desperation breeds thieves. Entries blurred. Lila, strategy dinner. L, candle 79, 8 p.m. Candle 79, vegan fine dining, our spot. My chest caved. That night, I tailed him, pathetic, cloak and dagger in a borrowed peacoat. They emerged from Apex's tower, laughing. Her arm looped in his as they ducked into a cab. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, the city indifferent, horns blaring judgment. Betrayal tastes like bile. I didn't sleep, replaying moments. His hand in mine at pride, whispers of us. By dawn, resolve hardened. I drafted my resignation. Polite, professional, but couldn't hit send. Instead, I showed up at his office unannounced. The journal clutched like evidence. He looked wrecked. Tie crooked, stubble shadowing his jaw. "Evan, thank God. This merger's a meat grinder." I thrust the journal at him. "Remember this? The kid who wrote it wouldn't touch Apex with a 10-foot pole." His face crumpled. "It's temporary. Once the ink dries." Lila, the name hung, a guillotine. He flinched. "She's an asset, nothing more." But his eyes betrayed him, guilt, yes, but also longing. I pressed. "Dinners? Late nights? While I'm holding the fort." He sank into his chair, head in hands. "It's complicated. She's pushing me toward the board seat at Apex. Influence from within. For us, for the clean pivot." The word twisted like a knife. "Or for her." Silence stretched, taut as piano wire. Finally, "Evan, I care for you, deeply. But this world, it devours the weak." Lila understands the game. The game. I've been a pawn then. Tears burned, but I held them. "I was your conscience, Harlan, not your sidekick." I left the journal on his desk, walking out into the sleet-lashed streets, the city a blur of gray. Graduation loomed, a capstone to my unraveling. Weeks blurred into a numb routine. Finals crammed between Voss emails, cap and gown fittings mocking my stasis. Harlan called incessantly. Voicemails raw with pleas. "Evan, don't throw us away. Meet me, please." I ghosted him, channeling fury into my thesis. Corporate redemption. Can compromise yield justice? It earned accolades but felt hollow. Pride weekend arrived, a riot of color against my monochrome mood. I marched solo, rainbow flag heavy on my shoulders. The crowds roar a bomb and a bruise. Midway down the route, I spotted him. Harlan, on a float with Voss's float, microphone in hand, touting inclusive innovation. Our eyes locked through the throng. He, elevated and performative. Me, grounded in the masses. He mouthed something. Sorry? Love? But the parade swept him away. That night, drunk on cheap beer at a rooftop party in Bushwick, I hooked up with a stranger. A tattooed barista with kind eyes and no baggage. It was gentle, affirming, a reclaiming. But as his fingers traced my skin, Harlan's face intruded, a ghost in the sheets. I bolted before dawn, the skyline mocking my flight. The climax brewed in May, commencement sun blazing over Washington Square. Diplomas in hand, I fielded job offers, NGOs, startups, whispers of a future untethered. Harlan's gift arrived by courier. The journal, annotated in his scrawl. Evan, this is yours now. Rewrite it with me? Dinner, tonight. The speakeasy. Our spot. I went. The booth enveloped us like old times, jazz crooning low. He looked older, lines etched deeper, but his smile, God, that smile, still disarmed. Congratulations, graduate. You earned this. Over stakes and stories, he confessed. Lila was a ploy, a network play, but the heart of it? Fear. I built walls after Theo, pushed you away to protect. Everything. I searched his face, seeking truth amid the wreckage. And now, post-merger, what's left? He reached across, palm up. You, if you'll have me, no more games. We build clean together. Your way. Our hands clasped, the touch a lifeline. Kisses followed, slow and redemptive, the world fading to our rhythm. For a heartbeat, I believed in second acts, in love's alchemy turning betrayal to gold. But dawn brings clarity, and mine shattered illusions. June unfurled like a banner of false hope, the city shedding its chrysalis for rooftop barbecues and Hudson cruises. Harlan and I slipped into a rhythm. Dinners at hidden gems in the West Village, weekends hiking the Palisades where he'd unpack boyhood tales of fishing the Allegheny, rod in hand to dodge his father's rages. You make me remember why I started, he'd say, lacing fingers as we crested trails, the river glinting below like a promise. Work blurred boundaries. Officially, I was special projects lead, a title minted postgrad, salary bumping me into solvency. Unofficially, I was his anchor, auditing apex contracts for ethical landmines, rallying internal allies for the clean pivot. Lila lingered like a specter, her office a floor below, emails laced with passive barbs. Harlan, Evan's idealism is charming, but timelines? I'd fire back data-driven rebuttals, earning Harlan's proud nods. You're the steel in my spine, he'd whisper in bed. Our bed now, my Chelsea walk-up upgraded to we. Intimacy bloomed tender. Mornings tangled in sheets, his head on my chest as NPR droned stock tickers. Evenings debating policy over Pinot, laughter punctuating like grace notes. He was meticulous. Notes folded into my briefcase, dream big, love. Surprise tickets to Hamilton where we'd hum anthems home, his baritone harmonizing mine. Sex, we danced around it, kisses deepening but hands respectful. A mutual vow to let emotion lead. I want this to last, he'd murmur, tracing my collarbone. Not burn out. Yet undercurrents stirred. Apex's board-eyed Harlan for chairman. A coronation that demanded alignment. Whispers reached me. Voss's boy toy could be a liability. Lila amplified them, her concern couched in boardroom asides. Harlan brushed it off. Ignore the noise. We're solid. Summer peaked in a heat dome, air thick as regret. We escaped to Fire Island, his company's pine-shaded retreat rented for team building. But it was ours alone. Beaches stretched white gold, waves lapping like confessions. One dusk, bonfire crackling, he proposed not rings but futures. Marry the mission with me, Evan. Co-found the nonprofit arm, Voss Forward. Your vision, my resources. Stars wheeled overhead as I nodded, tears salting the salt air. Yes, God, yes. Back in the city, momentum built. I assembled a team, fresh-faced activists, policy wonks, drafting charters for community-owned renewables. Harlan lobbied the board, his charisma a battering ram. Wins piled. A pilot in Detroit, grants from progressive foundations. Lila's influence waned. She transferred to Apex's LA outpost, her farewell lunch a frosty affair where she toasted to uncompromised futures. Eyes on me, dagger sharp. Fall whispered change. Leaves turning crimson as if bleeding warnings. Harlan's birthday landed mid-October. A low-key affair at his brownstone. Catered farm-to-table, string quartet in the garden. His parents attended, thawed slightly. Mrs. Voss even complimented my slacks. As cake candles flickered, Harlan pulled me aside. 1 year, he said, slipping a key into my palm. His place, permanence etched in brass. Move in. Make this home. Elation surged, but so did unease. That week, an anonymous email hit my inbox. Ask Voss about the Apex clause. The one burying your pilots. Attached, a redacted contract, clause 17 buried deep. A flexibility provision, allowing Apex veto on any non-core initiatives. Our nonprofit, doomed to stillbirth. I confronted him at dawn, coffee brewing bitter as my tone. Harlan, what the hell? You signed this. He paled, scanning the page. Evan, it's boilerplate. Leverage for negotiation. But his voice wavered. They pushed. Said it was symbolic. Symbolic? It's sabotage. I paced the kitchen, granite cold underfoot. You promised clean. This is chains. He reached for me, but I recoiled. I fought for it, delayed the signing twice. For us. Tears welled in his eyes, rare as eclipses. Don't let them win. Trust me. Trust. The word fractured. I stormed out, wandering the pre-dawn streets to the High Line, rails humming with ghost trains. Hours later, his texts pleaded. Coffee? Let's fix this. I met him at our spot, the booth a confessional. It's more than the clause, I admitted, stirring sugar into oblivion. It's you, hiding behind the game. I'm tired of being the idealist you trot out for optics. He leaned in, voice raw. You're my everything, Evan. The clause? I'll renegotiate. Today. His hand covered mine, thumb stroking knuckles. I love you. The words landed like manna. First time spoken, a vow in the steam. I melted, kissed him there amid the clatter of saucers. I love you too, but no more secrets. He nodded, sealing it with a call to his lawyers en route to the office. Renegotiation dragged into winter's grip, boardroom battles waged in frost-rime towers. Harlan emerged gaunt but victorious. Clause gutted, non-profit greenlit with ironclad autonomy. We celebrated at Christmas, his parents' tree twinkling as we announced the launch. Evan Hart, executive director. Mrs. Voss hugged me stiffly. Welcome to the madhouse, dear. But joy's shadow loomed. January brought leaks. Tabloid fodder on Voss's live-in muse. Paparazzi flashes outside the brownstone. Harlan's poll numbers tanked. Investors twitchy about distractions. He withdrew, moods swinging like pendulums. It's the price, he'd mutter, scrolling headlines over dinner. I pushed back. Or we fight it. Go public. Own our story. He laughed, hollow. Evan, this isn't a rom-com. Scandal sinks ships. Resentment simmered. Our touches grew perfunctory. Love's fire banked to embers. The storm broke in February. Valentine's blizzard blanketing the city in whiteout. Harlan vanished mid-afternoon. Emergency board call. Returning at midnight, reeking of scotch and something floral. I waited in the study, journal open like judgment. Where? One word, laced with ice. With the board. Crisis summit. His eyes evaded. Liar. I stood, voice steady. I smelled her perfume. Lila's. He'd flown her in, consulting, he claimed, but the hotel folio I found later told truths. Suite at the Mandarin, room service for two. Betrayal redux, sharper for its familiarity. She's back because they think I'm weak, he confessed, collapsing onto the rug. Pushing the narrative. Settle down. Go straight for the optics. Straight. The word gutted me. Settle down? With her. Rage boiled. After everything? Not like that. A beard PR sham. For the chairmanship. His plea twisted. It's temporary. For our future. The non-profit. The empire. Empire. Not us. I laughed. Bitter. Your dreams, Harlan. Always yours. I was the prop. The gay redemption arc. He lunged, gripping my arms. No. You're my heart. This kills me. But it killed me more. I wrenched free, grabbing my coat. I can't be your conscience and your casualty. Snow howled as I fled. The doors slam echoing like finality. Days bled into isolation. Crashing at a friend's in Brooklyn, dodging his calls, the nonprofit's launch party a solo toast amid toasts. Headlines crowed. Voss eyes apex throne with mystery woman? Lila, arm candy at galas, her smile of victors. Climax crested mid-March, International Women's Day ironically. Harlan cornered me at a sustainability summit in the Javits Center. Thronged with suits and speeches, our booth a beacon of Voss forward mock-ups. Evan, please, hear me out. The crowd milled, oblivious. Not here, I hissed, but he pulled me to a service corridor, fluorescence buzzing harsh. I've ended it, he said, voice breaking. Lila's out. The boards placated. And the chair? I turned it down. Shock rippled. For what? You. He stepped close, the space electric. Our nonprofit launches next month, your baby, fully funded. No strings. And me? I'm stepping back. Sabbatical. Time for us to heal, to build real. Temptation tugged, his eyes raw with surrender. But clarity cut through. Too late, Harlan. You chose the throne every time. I can't chase your ghosts anymore. His face shattered. Love's mask cracking to grief. Evan, goodbye. I walked away, the corridor stretching endless. His sobs swallowed by the din. Spring bloomed without him. Cherry blossoms mocking my hollows. The launch succeeded. Ribbon cut to cheers. Indigenous elders toasting futures. I spoke, voice steady. This isn't one man's dream. It's ours. All of us, rewriting what's possible. Yet nights ached. The brownstone's key burning in my pocket like regret. Harlan vanished from headlines. Whispers of a Hamptons retreat. A letter arrived weeks later. Evan. I'm proud. Rewrite without me. With love, H. Healing began tentative therapy in a village walk-in. Runs along the reservoir where I dream aloud. Friends rallied, bar hops, gallery crawls, reminding me of solo sparks. A new bow flickered. Alex. A nonprofit coder with easy grins and no empires. But Harlan lingered. A compass north. One June eve, as solstice sun dipped low, I found myself at the speakeasy. Our booth empty, jazz a requiem. He was there, across the bar, nursing a whiskey, looking spectral. We talked till closing, no pleas, just truths. I lost you to save the world, he said softly. Foolish. And I lost myself chasing yours. Pause then. But I found my way back. No kiss, no reunion, just a nod. A shared silence heavy with what-ifs. As I left, he called, Evan? Thank you. For everything. The door swung shut, the city embracing me whole. Summer's dog days dragged me into reinvention's forge. The city a crucible of sweat and second chances. Voss forward hummed. Our Detroit pilot powering a rec center. Kids coding solar apps under fluorescent hum. I threw myself in. Site visits to wind farms in Iowa, where flatlands stretched like blank canvases. Elders sharing tobacco and stories of stolen lands reclaimed. You're doing good, white boy, one quipped, clapping my back. Stuck, a talisman against doubt. Alex bloomed steady. Coffee dates evolving to picnics in Prospect Park. His laugh a counterpoint to Harlan's gravitas. He was 26, queer from the jump, no closets, just pride flags on his Vespa. You're intense, Evan, he'd tease over falafel, tracing my palm. But in the best way. Our first kiss happened fireworks lit on the 4th, Brooklyn Bridge thrumming below. Gentle, exploratory, free of baggage. No declarations, just presence. Movie marathons in his bed-stewy brownstone, debating moonlight till dawn. Yet Harlan's echo persisted. Bored whispers reached me. Vast dynamics adrift. Harlan's sabbatical stretching to indefinite. A mutual contact spilled. He'd sold his shares, cashed out quiet, vanished to Portland. Rumors of a bookstore gig, therapy circles for exec burnouts. He's gutted, she said over drinks. Asks about you always. I nodded, sipping my IPA, the waterfront lights dancing evasive. Gutted? Join the club. But curiosity gnawed, blooming into a late-night Google spiral. Sparse hits. A donor note to a queer youth shelter. A byline on ethical divestment in a Portland alt-weekly. The man was molting, shedding his skin for something softer. Fall semester vibes hit without me. Former classmates texting tenure tracks. Weddings. I opted for adjuncting at NYU, lecturing on sustainable policy to rapt undergrads, their hunger mirroring my old fire. Professor Hart? One lingered post-class, notebook clutched. How do you balance ambition and heart? I paused, Harlan's journal, now mine, tucked in my satchel. You don't balance. You integrate, or you break. Integration tested me October, when Apex imploded. Whistleblower docs exposing the veto clauses, greenwashing laid bare. Protests reignited, but this time Voss Forward led, coalition with NGOs. Op-eds I penned blasting corporate capture. Harlan's name surfaced in credits. Anonymous seed funding, his exit a stealth bomb. A package arrived mid-month. No return address, but his script unmistakable. Inside, a first edition The Great Gatsby, inscribed, to Evan. Not all dreams are green lights. Some are lighthouses. Navigate true. Ash. Tucked between pages, a Portland postcard. Rainy streets, Powell's books looming inviting. Alex noticed the shift. Old flame. He ventured over pumpkin pie at his folks in Queens. I deflected. Mentor. Complicated. But complication festered. Our rhythm faltered. Texts unanswered. His easy touch feeling like placeholder. One night, post-argument over my ghosting. He called it, Evan, I like you a lot, but you're half here. Go find your whole. Guilt propelled me to therapy, couch confessions unspooling years. The kid from Pittsburgh, Harlan's orbit as surrogate son. You grieve the mentor and the lover. My shrink noted, glasses perched sage. Separate them. Honor both. Easier said. I wrote letters unsent to Harlan. You taught me power's peril. Thank you, and goodbye. Winter solstice brought pivot. A Voss-forward retreat in the Adirondacks. Snowshoeing crystalline trails, team-building firesides where we mapped expansions, tribal partnerships in Arizona, urban farms in the Bronx. Around the blaze one eve, stories circled. My turn, I spoke Harlan unvarnished. The inspiration, the fracture. He showed me dreams can devour, but also they can feed. Back in the city, thaw mirrored inner. Alex and I parted friends. A hug at the subway ceiling, right person, wrong timeline. Spring coursed renewal. Blossoms rioting in the Bowery. My syllabus blooming with guest spots from activists. Harlan's trail cooled. Portland posts dried up, replaced by radio silence. Climax whispered in May, anniversary of our first kiss. I found myself at the Met Gala's shadow, not the red carpet, but a quiet fundraiser for arts in queer education. Harlan was there, Msanji with quiet command. His beard flecked gray, suit looser on a frame shed of stress. Our eyes met across the hall. He faltered mid-sentence, microphone trembling. Intermission found us in an alcove, Vermeer's glowing judgmental. Evan, he breathed, voice roughened by disuse. You look radiant. Director Hart now, I quipped, walls up. And you? Bookworm Voss. He chuckled, low. Something like curating at a co-op gallery, queer artists, sustainability themes. Grounding. Pause, eyes searching. Heard about Apex. Your coalition gutted them. Proud doesn't cover it. Warmth flickered, traitorous. It was collective. I learned from the best. Awkward shuffle. Then, floodgates. His sabbatical unraveling. Panic attacks in boardrooms. Therapy stripping illusions. I was the cage, Evan. You were the key I feared. Truth landed soft, no armor. I feared it too, I admitted. Chasing your light blinded mine. We talked hours, skipping dessert, wandering to the roof terrace where the park sprawled ink-black. No touches, just words. His funding our work, anonymous amends. My book pitch, memoir of mentorship's double edge. As stars pricked the dome, he said, I don't want forgiveness, just peace. For you. Peace. I echoed, the word a bridge. We parted with a handshake. Firm, lingering. His cab vanishing into the night. Summer solstice circled back. Full. Voss Forward's gala at the Whitney. Donors in droves, our pilots projected in light shows. I scanned the crowd, half dreading, half hoping. He came solo, in linen shirt unbuttoned casual, bouquet of wildflowers in hand. For the man who planted seeds, he said, presenting them on stage during toasts. Applause thundered. Backstage, we retreated to a sculpture garden. Rodin's twisting eternal. Harlan. Wait. He held up a hand. No grand gestures. Just this. I'm here, if you want a friend. Or more. But only if it's your story now. Vulnerability disarmed. His eyes clear of ambition's fog. I stepped close, foreheads touching. A communion. Friend. I whispered. For now. The kiss that followed was chaste. A question answered soft. But now's elasticity stretched. Fall deepened our dance. Coffee catch-ups evolving to trail runs in Van Cortlandt. His Portland tales of rain-soaked rebirth mingling with my expansions. No labels, just layers peeling to trust. Alex reemerged platonic. Wingman at dive bars where we'd toast to messy middles. Winter's cusp brought test. Harlan's offer to consult. Informal, no strings. On a Voss Forward policy brief. I accepted. Our office sessions a minefield of memory. Laughter lacing old wounds. One snow-laced eve, as deadlines loomed, he cracked, Evan, this us. It's the dream I never wrote. I paused, pen hovering. Then let's author it together. As equals. Spring 2027 dawned collaborative. Joint op-ed in the Times. Beyond the boardroom. Queer paths to justice. Backlash bit. Trolls dubbing it Voss's sequel. But we stood firm. Hands clasped at readings. Yet conflict simmered subtle. His restlessness, Portland pulling like tide. Miss the rain. He'd muse, but eyes on me betrayed anchor. My fear mirrored. Voss Forward scaling national. Offers from DC think tanks tempting solo flights. Climax crested June, Pride Redux. We marched, not floats but streets. His arm over my shoulders genuine, no cameras. Midway he stopped, crowd surging around. Evan, don't. Foreboding nodded. Not here. But he did, down on one knee, not ring but a seed packet. Native wildflowers for a shared plot. Plant roots with me? Wherever Portland, here the road. Your dreams, mine woven. Tears blurred rainbows. Betrayal's scar twinged. But healing trumped. Yes, I choked. But slow. Real. The crowd cheered our kiss. Deep, unscripted. As if the city exhaled. Autumn's palette painted our union in ambers and rusts. The city yielding to compromise as we plotted exodus. Harlan sold the brownstone. Proceeds seating an endowment for Voss Forward's youth arm. While I wrapped adjunct duties with a farewell lecture. Ambition isn't conquest, it's communion. Students applauded. Harlan in the back row, eyes shining pride. Portland beckoned. A drizzle-kissed reinvention. We drove cross-country in his vintage Mustang. Top down through Badlands gales. Detours to Ticarius and Omaha. Motels where we'd map futures on napkins. No CO suites, he vowed, hand on my thigh. Just us, building small. I nodded, wind whipping doubts away. The house was a fixer-upper in the Pearl District. Creaky craftsman with a yard for those wildflowers. Views of the Willamette murmuring secrets. We dove in, him hammering shelves for his gallery. Me tilling soil for community plots. Neighbors eyeing the city slickers with wry grins. Queer scene enveloped gentle. Potlucks at the Alberta Co-op. Drag brunches where Harlan's two-step surprised. His laugh loosening old knots. Voss Forward thrived remote. Virtual board meets from our kitchen table, pilots blooming in Harlem high-rises and Navajo Nation fields. Harlan consulted freelance, ethical audits for startups. His bylines shifting from Forbes to Grist, voice softer but no less potent. You're the poet now, I'd tease, editing drafts over cider. And you're the prophet, he'd retort, kissing ink stains from my fingers. Intimacy flowered unhurried. First lovemaking a revelation. Candlelit, exploratory, bodies mapping scars like constellations. No rush to possession. Just presence, whispers of mine in the afterglow. Mornings, he'd brew pour-overs while I journaled. His old one. Now ours, pages fat with shared visions. A foundation for queer climate activists. Retreats in the Cascades. Conflict crept seasonal, first frost. Harlan's past resurfaced. An apex holdout lawsuit, dredging merger sins. Subpoenas arrived like harbingers, dragging him to depositions in Seattle fog. It's ghosts, he muttered, pacing our porch as rain pattered leaves. They want blood. I steadied him. Then give truth, not defense, but stress-frayed threads. Sleepless nights, his touch withdrawing to armor. A call from Lila, courtesy heads up. Unleashed, her voice honeyed venom, hinting at leverage from old emails. Paranoia bloomed. He accused shadows. Did you know? About the clause back then. Hurt flared. Blame me? After you signed it. Words escalated. First real fight. Porcelain shattering in the sink. His roar echoing empty. I gave up everything for this. And I gave up me. Door slammed. I stormed to the river path. Willamette's rush drowning sobs. Dawn found us fractured. Him on the stoop, eyes hollow. Me returning with coffee flags. We're better than this, I said, bridging the gap. Therapy followed. Couple sessions in a loft overlooking breweries. Unpacking betrayals like heirlooms. Healing hinged on release. Harlan testified unbowed. I aired for empire. Now I serve justice. The suit crumbled. Vindication quiet. We marked it with a road trip to the Oregon coast. Clamming beaches, bonfires where he burned old contracts, ashes scattering on tides. Winter solstice brought bounty. Our foundation launched, inaugural cohort of 10, trans engineers, by activists, gathered for a Yule log ritual. Harlan emceed, voice steady. Dreams aren't chased, they're co-authored. Later, under mistletoe boughs, he knelt again, this time with rings. Simple tungsten, etched with coordinates of our first kiss. Evan Hartvoss, partners in all. Tears, yes, laughter too. Hartvoss, I echoed, sealing with salt-lipped vows. No clergy, just witnesses. Alex via Zoom, Portland pals toasting with IPAs. Spring 2028 greened fuller. Garden bursting cosmos and zinnias. Our wildflowers a metaphor riot. I authored the memoir, Chasing Shadows. A mentor's mirror, Harlan's forward raw. He saved me by setting me free. Book tour blurred coasts. Hand-in-hand signings where fans shared kin stories. Queer kinships forged in ink. Yet humanism tempers triumph. Not all men seamless. My Pittsburgh homecoming, parents' farm sagging under vines. Their embrace wary. That city boy changed you. Harlan charmed with pie and plans. But rifts linger. Forgiveness a work. His family thaws glacial. A Mother's Day call, Mrs. Voss admitting, he smiles more now. Climax's echo fades to cadence. One August Eve, eclipse shadowing the yard. We host a block party. Barbecue smoke curling. Neighbors swaying to indie folk. Harlan pulls me to dance. Slow under string lights. His whisper hot. This is the dream. I lean in, heart full. Ours. But dreams evolve. Whispers of wander. Sabbaticals in Oaxaca for artisan co-ops. Whispers of adopting. A boy from the shelter. Wide-eyed wonder. Challenges loom. Funding dips in recessions. Policy wars in D.C. But we face them tandem. No solos. As solstice suns circle eternal, I reflect. Betrayal was the forge. Love the temper. From CEO's shadow to equal light, I learned America's promise isn't ascent, but arrival. Messy, shared, profoundly human. In the end, it's not the empire that endures, but the embers we kindle together, warm, unwavering, home.